Problem 15. The two vectors, vector A and vector B, have equal magnitudes of 10 meter. So that means here the vector A magnitude is 10 meter, and then the vector B magnitude also 10 meter. And the angles are theta 1 equal to 30 degree and theta 2 equal to 105 degree. That means here the angle of theta 1 with respect to the x-axis 30 degree and theta 2 value is 105 degree with respect to this dotted line, not with respect to x. Here the diagram is given based on this dotted line, the angle. Okay. Now by using these magnitude and the angle, what we are going to do, we are going to find the x and y component of their vector sum. That means we have to add vector A and vector B. When you add vector A and vector B, we have to follow the head to tail rule. You can see this diagram, this orange color, that means this is your vector A, this arrow is the head region, right? So the head of the first vector is connected to the tail of the second vector. So by that you will get the resultant vector R. Am I right? So that means this is your resultant vector R, which is equal to vector A plus vector B, right? Now what we have to do, we have to find the x and y component of the resultant vector. That means if you take your resultant vector as R of x I cap plus R of y j cap, we are going to find the value of Rx and Ry in part A and part B. So for that, what we have to do, first we have to find the x component of a vector and y component of a vector, and then we have to find the x component of b vector and then y component of the b vector, and then we can add the x component and y component separately. By that we will get the answer for Rx and Ry. Clear? So let's rewrite step by step. First of all, I am going to find the x component and y component of vector A. So we studied the rule there. For finding the component, we have to use the sine and cosine theta, right? So let's retake our vector A. So first I'm going to find the vector A components. That means A of x I'm going to find, and then A of y I'm going to find. So what's the rule for vector A? Magnitude of x component, magnitude of the vector A multiplied by cosine theta. Likewise for y component, magnitude of the vector A multiplied by a sine theta. So now we already have the magnitude of the A vector, they clearly mentioned in the question, which is a 10 meter. And then cosine of, you can see the diagram here, the vector A with respect to x-axis, it's clearly 30 degree, right? So we have to use the angle here as a 30 degree. And let's see what's the answer. So here I got the answer as 8.66 meter. So what's the answer? 8.66 meter. And here 10 meter, that is our magnitude of sine of 30 degree. I got the answer here as 5 meter. Clear? Likewise, I have to find the same thing for our y, that means the b vector. So b vector magnitude I am going to find. So better I can use this space for finding the b vector component. That means b of x and b of y. So I can make a line here. So what's the rule for b of x? Magnitude of b vector multiplied by cosine theta, and here the magnitude of the b vector multiplied by sine theta. So now you have to be very careful about the angle. Magnitude is okay, it's 10 meter, right? But what's the angle? If you see this theta, when you go for b vector with respect to x-axis, what you have to do, you have to add this also, because only this 105 degree based on this dotted line. But if you want to take the angle with respect to x-axis, what you have to do, you have to add this 30 degree along with this 105. So that means here when you are going to substitute the value of the theta, here the theta which is equal to theta 1 plus theta 2. Clear? So now I have to use this value here. So we substitute the value. Magnitude of b here is 10 meter, cosine of 135 degree. Why? Because 30 you have to add along with 105 because it's with respect to x-axis. So we have 135 degree, that angle I used here. So when I use 135 degree, I got the answer here as minus 707 7.07 meter. So likewise here 10 meter of sine of 135 degree, I got the answer here as 7.07. Clear? Now we have to find the x component of the resultant vector, because here for resultant vector r of x, what we have to do, we have to take our x component of the a vector and then x component of the b vector. So r of x, which is equal to a of x plus b of x. So what's the value of a of x, which is 8.66 meter, plus what is your b of x value? Our b of x value is minus 7.07. So I have to use this value here. So minus 7.07 meter. So when you solve this, you will get the answer here as 1.59 meter. That is the answer for the first question. Likewise, if you do the same thing for y component, r of y, which is equal to a of y plus b of y. So here what is your value of a of y, which is 5 meter, plus, and what is your b of y value? The b of y value is 7.07, positive value, so 7.07 meter. And when you add these things, you get the answer here as 12.07 meter. So that is the answer for P part. So that means here we got the answer for r of x, that is our x component of the resultant vector, and then y component of the resultant vector, this one. So we got the answer for 2 questions. Now in the third question, what we are going to find? We are going to find the magnitude. So if you want to find the magnitude, better we can make the vector equation for this r of x and r of y. That means the resultant vectors after you add the vector a and b. So what is your component of x, which is 1.59. So therefore the final resultant vector r, which is equal to 1.59 meter of I cap plus 12.07 meter of j cap. So that means this is your r of x value, this is your r of y value. So this is the vector equation for this x and y component. Now by using this equation, what we are going to do, we are going to find the magnitude. So how to find the magnitude of this r vector? As we studied, we have to take the square root and then squaring the component of x and y. So what is your x component value here? 1.59 square plus 12.07 square. So when you simplify these things, we got the answer here as 12.17 meters. So this is the magnitude of r vector. Clear? And finally, we have to answer our last part to find the angle. So what's the formula for angle? We studied the angle theta, which is equal to the tan inverse of r of y divided by r of x. So I have to substitute the value of ry and rx here. So the tan inverse of ry value, what is the ry value? 12.07, rx value 1.59. So I have to substitute this value. So 12.07 divided by 1.59, I got the answer here as 82.49 degree. So this is the answer for the last question. So what is this angle? So let's go back to the diagram. We can see the angle. So what is the angle from the diagram? You can see after you add these a vector and b vector, this will be the final angle. So what answer we got here for this angle? 82.49. Clear? So in this way, you have to solve this type of question. So, but while you are using these, please make sure that your calculator should be in degree mode. Clear? And do the calculation correctly. And by that only, because if you did any mistakes in rx and ry, then the answer for C part and the D part will be wrong. Clear? So these are all the answer for this subdivision. Thank you.